25 new COVID-19 cases recorded in Nigeria on Wednesday. President Muhammadu Buhari dispels rumors of third-term agenda. In international news, World Health Organization approves China's Sinovac vaccine for emergency use. And in sport, Rafael Nadal wins another French Open.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control reports 25 new COVID-19 cases in the country on Wednesday. 5 states shared the new figures, with Lagos carrying almost half of the new cases. Taraba recorded 9, Kaduna 3, Rivers 2, and Kwara 1. This new figure raises the country's total infections to 166,560, with only 6,514 of these still active. No fatalities were recorded on Wednesday, leaving the death toll to at least 2,099. President Muhammadu Buhari has dispelled rumors he is nursing a third-term plan. The president says he has no interest in such an ambition. The president has promised to provide all necessary materials and resources to the Independent National Electoral Commission to enable successful election in 2023. He said the current state of destruction of INEC facilities is the work of elements trying to prevent the 2023 elections from holding. He promised there will be no excuse for failure. This assurance was given on Tuesday after the president received INEC chairman Mahmoud Yakubu at the State House. Yakubu said the attacks on the Commission's facilities across the country are unacceptable. He said the government will not allow the evil objectives of perpetrators to be achieved. Youth unemployment in Nigeria has been estimated at more than 30%, a clue into why there is so much negative energy among the group. High youth unemployment is said to have lured many young Nigerians into crime. Correspondent Tessie Makinde has the story.
Muhammadu Buhari is a graduate of environmental engineering. He has been unemployed since he got his university degree 11 years ago. He now earns $20 a month teaching primary school children and says it's frustrating.
You see, that one was underemployed or not employed, but never, hardly would you want to say I really had a satisfactory job based on what I targeted.
Millions of young Nigerians like Mudima are unemployed. The country's Bureau of Statistics puts the unemployment rate at 32.5% in 2021. It's a leap from 27.1% in the previous year.
You know, when the society fails to provide the necessary infrastructure, in place for people to get employed, people are creative, so they'll create ways with which they can be able to make ends meet for them.
Muhammadu says some young people have been tempted to join criminal gangs.
The youths specifically are into banditry, kidnapping, doing one form of negative vice or the other. And then it's really paying. People are cashing out, making money, living life as good as it can be.
Both young and old people have been victims of crimes such as robbery and kidnapping for ransom in Nigeria. States in the country's north such as Kaduna, Niger, Zamfara and Katsina have been badly hit by such incidents. Governors of the state say that apart from efforts by federal authorities to protect lives and property, a consistent regional approach to insecurity is also needed. But Mudima says other young people like him are determined not to break the law. He attributes that attitude to a good upbringing and the hope that things might get better.
There are a lot of expectations from you, family, those who invested in you. When you see those things going on, you really want to go into, anyhow you make it, but then it's a thing of discipline. Okay, this is it. Subsequently, we still trying to hang on with the hope that things will get better somehow, some way.
The Nigerian government is championing initiatives such as graduate internship programs and financial support for small-scale businesses to address the widespread unemployment. And it hopes such efforts will engage more young people and that the crime rate in the country will drop.
Nigerian politicians and the elites are now worried about the return of political assassinations in the country after the murder of Ahmed Gulak in Owerri a few days ago. Gulak, former aide to President Goodluck Jonathan, was a close ally of Imo Governor Hope Uzodimma. His assassination is causing politicians to think back to the political assassinations that were rampant during the Olusegun Obasanjo administration, when heavyweight politicians like Bola Ige, Funsho Williams and Ogbonaya Uche were killed. There have been suggestions that Gulak's death was the handwork of the Eastern Security Network, but Governor Uzodimma says it could be a political assassination. IPOB has denied any connection with Gulak's murder. The group says it does not have political killings in its agenda.
Coming up, African stories. South Africa returns to adjusted level 2 COVID-19 lockdown. And later, international news. World Health Organization approves China's Sinovac vaccine for emergency use.
You are watching ANN.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. South Africa has moved back into adjusted level 2 of the lockdown at the beginning of this week as COVID-19 cases surge. Although sales of alcohol are not restricted, President Cyril Ramaphosa announced closing time of 10 p.m. for restaurants and bars. Correspondent Yulisa Injamela has the details.
President Cyril Ramaphosa says an increase in gatherings is directly responsible for the rise in transmissions. He highlighted funerals and school sporting events as particularly problematic. The level 2 restrictions include non-essential establishments like restaurants, bars, and fitness centers to close by 10 p.m. All gatherings to be limited to a maximum of 100 people indoors and 250 people outdoors. Where the venue is too small to accommodate these numbers with appropriate social distancing, then no more than 50% of the capacity of the venue may be used. Wearing a mask when in public remains compulsory. The nationwide curfew has also now been tightened. The curfew will now start at 11 p.m. and end at 4 a.m. Further restrictions are being imposed to ensure the healthcare sector is not overwhelmed and to allow as many people as possible to be vaccinated before the third wave hits. South Africa is currently in phase 2 of its vaccination program that is targeting those health workers who have not been vaccinated during the first phase, as well as people who are over 60 years of age.
Kenya is not stranger to drought. Some communities in the nation's Rift Valley are now facing long dry seasons that have forced many to resort to alternative water supply. Correspondent Wanja Munghai reports.
15-year-old Sarah Nasimoi is a classics pupil. She goes to Nasaru Primary School in Kenya's Kajiado County. She is determined to study hard and become a pilot one day. However, every day she and other pupils have to make a trip to search for water before and after school.
We have to travel very far, like 15 kilometers, to fetch water for drinking, cooking and cleaning. We have a big problem.
Nasaru village is located in Kenya's Rift Valley, a semi-arid area whose harsh climate has been worsened by climate change.
We purely rely on the rainwater. When you look at our tanks here, we only rely on the rainwater, When there is no rain, it means we have got no water. There is no access to any water apart from the community dam, which is around 15 kilometers away from the school. It is the kids which ferry the water from the community dam to the school for washing, for cleaning, for drinking, all of that. It is the kids which bring the water to the school.
The United Nations says climate change is the biggest threat that many people around the world currently face. The pastoralist community here faces many challenges. Unpredictable rainfall and long drought seasons lead to difficult times for the locals. They are at times forced to travel long distances to seek pasture for their livestock.
Due to the reduction in precipitation, the ground is not able to absorb sufficient water, either because of water flowing too fast above the ground, or the seasons not having sufficient water supply in the form of rainfall.
To cope with the challenge, the people have had to improvise. The residents of Nasaru village have been forced to explore different water harvesting techniques to deal with the water challenges. This one here is Olemosetet Dam. It feeds about 1,000 goats and 1,000 cows.
When water levels drop very much, we are normally forced to go elsewhere to feed our cattle, where we have to pay for water.
Countries around the globe are set to celebrate the World Environment Day on June 5th. When the United Nations will be urging people worldwide to join efforts to restore destroyed ecosystems. In the meantime, people of Nasaru will be hoping to survive the difficulties they currently face, and Sarah will be working hard to realize her dreams amid the challenges.
The Gambia's Truth Commission has concluded more than 2 years of public hearings into the alleged atrocities committed by former dictator Yahya Jammeh during his 22-year rule. Many witnesses concluded their testimony on Friday, reading out accounts of arbitrary arrests, torture, corruption, and summary executions. Some even gave gory testimonies of bodies of some of the victims being fed to crocodiles. Jammeh seized power in a 1994 military coup. He held the tiny nation with an iron fist until he lost the presidential election to Adama Barrow in 2016. He had refused to give up the presidency until a coalition of West African troops forced him out into exile to Equatorial Guinea.
When we return, international news. World Health Organization approves China's Sinovac vaccine for emergency use. And later, sport. Rafael Nadal wins another French Open.
You are watching ANN. Somewhere in the world, every second of the day, news is happening. And of course, Nigeria is bustling with news day and night. That is why ANN doesn't sleep. Our eyes are peeled, wide open, so no story escapes our radar. We stay abreast of world events and happenings at home. We keep you up to the minute in the world of sports. We give you information to stay on top of your investments and all the hard facts you need to navigate your day. If you miss us on air, you can keep up to date on our website and on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. We are ANN, African News Network. We do news right in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Veteran politician Isaac Herzog has been elected president of Israel. 60-year-old Herzog will succeed Reuven Rivlin as Israel's 11th president after securing 87 votes in a secret ballot among the 120 parliament members. Rivlin will leave office next month at the end of a 7-year term. Herzog is former head of Israel's Labour Party and opposition leader who unsuccessfully ran against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in the 2015 parliamentary elections. The World Health Organization has approved the emergency use of a COVID-19 jab made by Sinovac, paving the way for a second vaccine produced in China to be distributed among developing countries. Correspondent Tony Waterman reports.
The backing from the WHO means there will be another option available in the fight against COVID-19, particularly in developing countries where vaccines remain scarce. Many of these countries do not have their own regulatory bodies, so they take their cues from the WHO on which vaccines are safe to use. The approval also clears the way for Sinovac to join the COVAX facility, the global program to bring vaccines to mainly low-income countries. That program is facing a severe supply crunch at the moment and is expected to be 200 million doses short by the end of June. Sinovac and Sinopharm, the other Chinese vaccine approved in May, could help ease some of the bottlenecks. Both can be stored at normal refrigerator temperature, so it makes them prime candidates for use in underdeveloped countries or in remote areas.
The Australian state of Victoria has extended the coronavirus lockdown in its capital of Melbourne for a second week on Wednesday. The last lockdown in Australia's second most populous state was have to run until Thursday. But infection numbers rose and close contact reached some thousands. Victoria State Acting Premier James Merino says if the lockdown is not extended, the number of cases will explode, it will become uncontrollable and would cause deaths. Merino says more than 800 persons died in last winter's outbreak, which accounted for about 90% of Australia's total deaths since the pandemic began. Though Victoria's daily cases have been in the single digits since the lockdown was imposed, officials fear even minimal contact could help spread the variants involved in the latest outbreak. 6 new locally acquired cases were reported on Wednesday, taking to 60 the tally of infections in the latest outbreak. Second drug maker in the U.S., Moderna, has asked the Food and Drug Administration for full U.S. approval of its COVID-19 vaccine, which will allow it to market the shots directly to consumers. The vaccine is currently on the U.S. market under a December FDA emergency use authorization. It is based on 2 months of safety data. Moderna now wants a biologics license application or a request for full approval, which requires at least 6 months of data. More than 100 million of the shots have already been administered. Full U.S. approval will allow Moderna's vaccine to stay on the market once the pandemic is over. It also allows the company to begin media advertising of the shots. Peru, one of Latin America's hardest hit countries during the pandemic, has now tripled its official COVID-19 death toll to more than 180,000. This makes it the country with the highest death rate per capita. Its hospitals are overcrowded and demand for oxygen is outstripping availability. Correspondent Dan Collins has the story.
Peru has been among the hardest hit Latin American countries by the COVID-19 pandemic. But on Monday, the official number of deaths nearly tripled from 70,000 to more than 180,000 following a government review. Experts had long said that the true death toll had been undercounted, in part due to a lack of testing to determine the exact cause of death. The new figures, which represent 500 deaths for every 100,000 people, are in line with the excess mortality rate in the country. The Latin American country with the highest total death toll is Brazil, with more than 462,000 lost due to the pandemic. But the data shows that based on population, Peru's per capita death toll now more than doubles that of Brazil. Latin America has been the hardest hit region this year. In May, it accounted for more than 30% of the world's deaths, but has little more than 8% of the population. Peru's chronically underfunded health system collapsed under patient demand for beds and medicinal oxygen. Political instability has not helped the vaccine distribution. Less than 4% of the population have been fully inoculated, and around 8% have had at least a first shot. But the vaccine rollout is now picking up, with nearly all the over 60s having had at least the first jab.
Next, sport. Rafael Nadal wins another French Open. Please stay with us.
You are watching ANN.
Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone or online, we are there. We have the facts behind the headlines. We cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network. ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit. We are on the road every day, canvassing throughout Africa for news you really need. We follow this story everywhere, from every corner of Nigeria to the wide African expanse. We bring you what's making headlines. We connect you with news you can use. ANN, African News Network, in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. In sport, the Super Eagles will meet the indomitable Lions of Cameroon in a friendly match tomorrow, Friday. 17 of the players invited for the prestige friendly against the five-time African champions have arrived in the team's camp. Leicester City boys Kelechi Iheanacho and Wilfred Ndidi and the Aimba duo of John Nobi and Anayo Iwala are already in camp. 13-time tennis champion Rafael Nadal has recorded another French Open win on Tuesday. He defeated 63rd ranked Alexei Popyrin of Australia to take his record at the tournament to 101 wins against just 2 losses. The pair first played one another when they were children. As professionals, Nadal leads 16-0. And that is ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Have a great evening.